I'm Sadayuki Abeta of NTT DOCOMO. Today I'd like to share our experience about OpenRAN and the status of OpenRAN. So it works. Our network is already much been around from the beginning of the 5G. So, sorry. And when we discussed that, OpenRAN, so there are some challenges I heard from many operators. The one is the system integration, because most of the operators do not have a capability to do integration by themselves, because it's new for the most of the operators. And it's also the interoperability test. And the cost structure, it's not so clear, since that if we need the integration, we need some additional cost maybe. Of course, we can reduce the cost by vendor competition. So, but total cost, not so sure it will be. And maybe the operation scheme has changed. So, I'd like to share our experience. Here is our network for both 4G and 5G. So 4G, we have already achieved multi-vendor network. We defined that the common front-forward interface. That at that time it's a CPRI. CPRI interface we defined by ourselves, and the vendor support that interface. So, but this is our specific interface. So we need to ask the vendor to support it. It's a costly. And so we defined that the open interface in OR Alliance. So OR Alliance defined that the 7.2x. And we use that interface for 5G. And between the 4G and 5G, we use X3 interface defined by 3GPP. But maybe you know well 3GPP interface, sometimes some detail is not defined. So how to use the information element. So OR Alliance, what they do, they define that the profile to support the interoperability between the different vendors. With this 3GPP X3 interface and also the OR Alliance profile, we can achieve interoperability between the 4G and 5G. So we support ENDC, enhanced dual connectivity between 4G and 5G. We have 3 GNB vendors, so their implementation is different, but we have supported. And as for the front-forward interface, as mentioned, we have open interface 7.2x, and we use it. Thanks for the open interface, we selected new vendor after day one. So vendor A, vendor B, we selected from day one, but vendor E and the vendor F, we selected when we add new frequency band. So we did RFP and asked the vendor, and we selected the vendor based on the cost and performance. So open interface allowed to select the new vendors more easily without additional cost. Or of course, some integration cost is needed. And from our experience, people say the interoperability test takes a time. But yes, first test it back to 2019. It takes 6 months. It's very long, because that everyone has different understanding of specifications. But second equipment, it takes 3 months, so we can do this half. And then recently, we takes just 1 week to set up the L3 core. So we can say that 7.2x, especially category A, is already stable and already easy to select the new vendor. So here is a summary of the benefit we have had. One is that, as mentioned, we have already selected vendor after day one. And this also avoids supply chain risk. So one example, a vendor honestly schedule has delayed, but we can keep that our deployment schedule because we use other vendors' equipment. And due to the semiconductor shortage, some vendor can't ship the RU, but we can use other vendor RU and keep our plan. Also, in our case, we use that frequency band N79. Even N79 is not common in the world at this time, but we can select the vendor who support N79. So we can select the solution in the world. So what really these two is different. It's quite complicated for me. So yeah. So what we are trying to do now is that so how we keep that flexibility and how we can reduce the cost. This is very important for the operators. So the VLAN case, we have a multiple vendor. That we need an integration. That we need additional cost. How we reduce our integration cost. So what we are doing, we are working with multiple ways. One is that we have the common lab, open share lab. Operator can use this lab remotely. So they don't need to have their own lab. They can just have a PC. So even here, I can connect to my network, test bed. So this space will be that test bed. So by sharing, we can significantly reduce cost and time. And second one is that sharing the integration or interoperability cost itself. So we have now working with a multiple vendor that include that hardware, accelerator, CAS, software. So still the operator have the choice, but we integrated and provide a solution. That means a pre-integrated solution. And the pre-integrated solution we will share. So then we will significantly reduce the integration cost. And the operator do not need to care the vendor's software or hardware updates. If the software vendor update cycle and cost cycle is different, we need many integration. That's very costly. But if we can align the timing, it will be simple and significantly reduce the cost. So we are working with partners to simplify the lifecycle management to reduce the cost. And also we are working with Vodafone to share the test process. Then both operator side and vendor side, we can easily to understand what we need to do. Then we can also reduce the cost. So this MWC, we announced that the Open LAN ecosystem experience, OREX. What is OREX? So OREX provides a solution, which I mentioned. So sharing is a key. So thank you very much. That's all my presentation.